Hey, it's your girl Nikki B with the Heal Out Loud show, and I am here with the infamous Frank Hawkins.
One and only.
The one and only.
How are you?
I'm fantastic, Frank. I'm so grateful that you could join us
Nice
today.
to see you out here on this beautiful day.
Beautiful day.
For a good cause.
Yes.
And you come to get the information, take it back to the people.
That's right.
All right,
that's the job
well,
here.
let's get it
can
on.
Can you tell our audience who is Frank Hawkins?
Frank Hawkins is a native Nevadan.
Yes, he is.
Born and raised in West Las Vegas and proud to be from there. Just a little snot-nosed kid, always wanted to try to do better by his neighborhood and by his community. Fortunate enough to have some people who cared about him, touched him, encouraged him, and had him focus on education. I was able to do that at St. Christopher and Brindley and Western High School, and was a good student and got a scholarship to the University of Nevada, Reno, where I graduated in 4 years with a degree in criminal justice, and then got drafted by the Oakland Raiders at that time.
Yes.
Played 7 years with the Raiders, who moved to LA. We won a Super Bowl down there. Then I had a career-ending injury and moved back home to Las Vegas and was in business and convenience stores and car washes, and then got involved in politics while I was still playing football, working for the city in the off season, and decided to run for city council and did that. First black elected to the Las Vegas City Council ever.
History maker.
That's right.
Let's do it.
And what did I do after that? I had a sports bar, nightclub, and then I developed, and I still have a nonprofit that builds affordable housing. We have built over 3,000 units in Southern Nevada. We have a property management company, general construction company. I'm in the marijuana business. We have two convenience stores. Lord have mercy. We have 2 dispensaries.
That's right.
And a cultivation.
And a consumption.
Well, we haven't opened the consumption lounge yet, but we have the rights to.
That's right.
To the license.
As a retail operator, that's right.
Correct.
Yes.
But it's all about monetizing it, and I haven't figured that out yet. But being the first, I'm not eager. Who was the first to open in the city of Las Vegas? We're first and only African-American dispensary, cultivation, vertically integrated. I'm not anxious to be the first consumption lounge to open because I'm not sure how it's going to turn out.
Okay, well, we can hope that it turns out well.
Well, it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
For most.
Well, this is the celebrate city of the world.
You got that right. That's
People
right.
come here to have experiences
That's
that
right.
they can't experience anywhere else.
Amen.
And so Las Vegas has a very unique opportunity to cater to those individuals that want to come here to Las Vegas and experience something different.
That's right.
So maybe it's something more than just people sitting around in a smoky room consuming. Maybe it's something a little bit more with an edge on it, you know? I mean, they've got a restaurant here in Las Vegas. You could dine in the dark. So I would imagine that we can be pretty innovative with how we create a social consumption experience for people that want to come to Vegas.
It's going to take time, and it will evolve like everything else.
Exactly.
I remember as a kid growing up here, there was no way anybody could have envisioned that in this little dusty gambling town that one day you would have entertainment capital of the world before your name. You would have gaming capital of the world after your name. You would have now sports entertainment capital of the world, baseball, football, hockey, soccer, you name it, we got it.
That's right.
Besides that, now we the food capital as well. So if you want it, we got it. If we don't have it, we'll make it.
Yeah, that's right. It's the hospitality
Come and live your dream
here in Las Vegas.
That's
right.
Amen.
And so, Frank, we are honored to be standing next to a legend.
Well,
this is your city.
Yes,
it's
it is.
Super Bowl weekend.
Yes,
so we're at
is.
the second annual Pinnacle Events golf tournament for Gridiron Greats.
Yes.
And so how does it feel having the Super Bowl here in your city?
Well, you know, it's for me, it's all about the money. And I want it to be all about the money to your listeners. Because there's some low-hanging fruit.
That's right.
Well, we just got to figure out how to get it. Right?
That's
the opportunity is here.
That's right.
But for Las Vegas, it won't be the last. It's only the first.
That's right.
And if you can dream it, we can achieve it here.
That's right.
So if you didn't get to participate in this Super Bowl, put your thinking cap on and get involved because baseball's coming. All the professional sports are coming. All the opportunities are coming.
Wow. Wise words from a wise man.
Well, thank you. Hey, wait, let me say this. And from which she's came, one day she's going to be like Oprah. And y'all remember, Frank Hawkins told you first.
You hear that, y'all?
Look out, Oprah.
Frank, so Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Is there anything that you'd like to share with our audience about what maybe is coming up for Nevada Wellness Center or for Frank Hawkins here in Las Vegas?
So we are building housing. That's my mission. My purpose in life is to continue to build affordable housing for Nevadans. But we dabbling in the marijuana. We controlling our own destiny by having our own cultivation. But I just want people to enjoy life, relax, work hard, be smart with your money, get out of debt, don't be a slave to the system.
That's right. Thank you so much, Frank Hawkins. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom with us today. And who you are in the industry. What do you do in the industry?
Yep. Joe Brezny. I'm probably best known for being the spokesperson on the 2016 recreation campaign. I started that ballot committee. I was the only name in the ballot committee for all 4 years that it existed, and I was a spokesperson for the campaign. There was a team that got it done in 16. Great group of people. I was lucky enough to be the face of it. Now I work for a government affairs firm, so I have worked on campaigns for local ballot measures or local lobbying on marijuana in more than 20 jurisdictions in Nevada and several other states. And then we represent a couple of marijuana clients now, just keeping an eye out for them at the legislature and making sure that nothing is coming their way that's negative and working with them on a positive agenda. So working government affairs. And then also I've been a Nevada medical marijuana patient for 19 years.
Okay, thank you for all of your work. I would not be here as a patient or as a consumer. I know that you also helped with as our lobbyist with the chamber for last year. And so thank you for all the work that you do, Joe, in this industry and for the state of Nevada and for patients and consumers. Okay, so we started talking about it already, but let me prompt the question and then we can jump into your specific answers. The DEA is currently accepting public comment on rescheduling of cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 until July 22nd. How does rescheduling affect you, your business, and your community?
Affecting me, very minimal, because we live in a state that has a really high bar for qualifying as a medical marijuana patient, and I am a medical marijuana patient, and I have been for years. And so me personally, it's not going to affect me much at all. My business, unfortunately, because this isn't, it's best when my clients don't need a ton of my services, because if they need a ton of my services, it's usually because they're in a jam and they need protection for being in a jam with the government. It's probably going to be great for my business because it increases uncertainty. It puts us at risk of having the industry negatively affected by a new administration in a more formalized way. Before, it was kind of like the penalties were so bad because they were saying marijuana was as bad as heroin that no one took it seriously. Well, now they're affirmatively acknowledging that that it should be classified as a controlled substance of some sort. And you don't see that with vodka. And so it's something where recreational access is, I wouldn't say it's at risk. I don't agree with the people on one side that are saying this is amazing, it's going to be bad. I also don't necessarily agree with people on the other side who say the sky is falling. We don't know. I would have much preferred descheduling. We don't know. So for me as a medical marijuana patient, I'm pretty safe. For my business probably gets busier because of this, which I don't really want big problems like this to fix. I kind of like having a clean slate for us to look at building and expanding the community in a positive way instead of acting like a hockey goalie and just getting pucks to not go in the net. And I worry that that's what we're going into, is more of a defensive posture where we have to worry about moving backward when we've worked so hard to move forwards.
And that's kind of how it affects your community here in the state of Nevada, being an adult use state, you would say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and my community, I would consider the community of patients. I think we're pretty safe. And then the community of just recreational consumers, I would worry about. But I think the biggest things at risk in Nevada are recreational consumers, in our tax base, because the vast majority of the tax revenue that we're bringing in is coming from the recreational side of the matrix.
Of course. And so timeline wise, I don't know if you recall the last time a drug was rescheduled. Do you know, can you give us an idea of what that timeline might look like? If the comment period ends on July 22nd, they have to see the hearings and get an outcome from those hearings, and then they turn over that information to the DOJ. That puts us even closer, I feel like, to the election time, to election period.
Yeah.
Do we know? Yeah. Obviously, the next administration is going to be the one, like you said, will implement whatever is decided. Do you think that we'll have a decision before November?
Yes. Speaking cynically, I mean, the normal pace of change in government is glacial. I mean, it's literally inches and inches. But I think, I mean, speaking cynically, and kind of zooming up to like the 30,000 foot level, I think the administration wants something substantive that they can campaign on to turn out younger voters. I think the Democratic turnout plan is actually pretty transparent. And I'm a nonpartisan. I'm not picking sides on either way on who's right or who's wrong. But I think the Democrats are correctly going to focus on where they can see the most movement, which is, the contraception vote that just happened in Congress. I think outreach to women is going to be very strong, very aggressive, and probably the leading turnout of the left. And then right behind it are looking at issues that can appeal to young voters. I've made this statement a few times. If young voters stay home this year, Republicans will win massively. If young voters show up, that's at risk. And so watching how they tailor marijuana reform and things like junk fee reform to drop the cost of your concert tickets and your plane tickets and things that actually affect a consumer that has limited funds, I think is going to be the goal. And I think that marijuana reform kind of folds into that, and at least neutralizing. Trump is trying to take an aggressive stance on cryptocurrency right now, which the left is either against or neutral on, and that appeals to younger, more libertarian-minded voters. So I could see marijuana reform being something that they're looking at to at least neutralize that and not have Biden lose that block of voters.
That's interesting theory. And another interesting thing you said is you labeled it Trump and then the left because that's what it is. It's the party of Trump now. It doesn't even seem like a Republican party that I recognize. Okay. And then the last question, Joe, if deschedule was an option presented right now, what industry products that already exist would be most similar to how you envision cannabis being regulated?
I think there's my daughter works at a dispensary, and so she brings home testers, and she was raving about this tester that she got for a balm. It's a topical balm, pain relief balm, and I had heard stories about these bridge clubs in the South where all these grandmas are getting these topicals sent to them by their granddaughters who go to school in California, and just shipping boxes back to them. There's this illicit market of pain relief salve going around the bridge clubs in the South. And I always thought, my wife's a nurse, and I thought this topical stuff, it doesn't make sense that it would work the way it works. And then my daughter brought some home, and she's like, "Hey, you messed your shoulder up working in the garden last weekend. Why don't you try this?" And so I'm putting on in front of my wife, and I'm like, "Oh my God, the pain's gone." And she's like, "That's impossible, but placebo Joe, you enjoy that. If it's working for you, it's working for you. But by the way, I'm going to try some on my hip." So she put some on her hip, and she was, "Oh my God, the pain's gone." And so there are some scary good products that I think out the gate people are going to look at, and they're going to say, okay, if this product is not legal under even the strictest medical guidelines, then nothing is going to be. So there's actually a whole class of those. And then there's also cannabis that has been formulated and packaged in a way that is meant to not look like cannabis. Like you see edibles that are available in capsules or pills, and so it's like the the Malarone pills that are pharmaceutical. This actually works, and so I think those that are kind of geared toward and pushed toward being medical appearing and that have a very therapeutic, highly specific purpose, I think those will survive just about any onslaught. Because if you look at if an administration on the right were to come in, and actually I don't mean the Trump administration on this, because he has been as good or better on marijuana than Biden's been. But let's say you get someone like Mike Huckabee in there who just can't stand weed. I could see him coming through and just saying, okay, because from his viewpoint, the issue is that it's okay to move away from pain, but it's not okay to move toward pleasure. Moving toward pleasure violates a puritanical ideal that he holds. Moving away from pain is compassionate. And so if you get someone in with that mindset that moving away from pain is okay, but moving toward pleasure is not
Sinful.
cool, then you're gonna see you're gonna see things like flower being hard to justify. You're gonna have people talking about the medical effects of different strains, and there will be a counter to that. But I think we end up with a mess on our hands once you drop below that level of things that are like really clearly clinically intended, like the pain relief salves and things like that. And so then you get into the debate with people saying, okay, what is the difference between me having a bad week and coming home riddled with anxiety that is going to give me ulcers and cause me health problems, and smoking a joint to rid myself of that anxiety? That seems medical. What about the guy who just has a tough Friday and goes and has a beer on the way home? Is that medical? That seems recreational. What about the guy who just goes home and he's not riddled with anxiety, but he just had a shit week? Oh, sorry, but he just had a bad week, and he's there, and he just wants to smoke a joint and not think about his bad week. Where
Right.
is the line between
Right.
medical and recreational?
Right.
And who's making that decision
That
on that
part.
balance, that
Hmm.
puritanical balance of,
Hmm.
are we moving away from pain or moving toward pleasure? Because
And
some could argue that any movement away from pain is moving toward pleasure
towards
because it doesn't
pleasure,
hurt as
right?
much. And so
If I don't feel pain,
it's
if I don't feel
yeah,
pain, then guess what? The frown and the disgust that's on my face goes away, and now it's replaced with
yeah,
a smile. So is that
yeah,
pleasure? Yeah,
yeah.
in a way, I'm no
So
longer
we
feeling
get
pain.
a really messy debate below those really clearly clinical products.
Okay, Joe, thank you so much for your time today. I want to wrap it up here. Is it? Do you feel like that this industry, that this plant, because you're an advocate of deschedule, you mentioned that you would have preferred deschedule. So would you
Oh
rather
yeah.
see this plant regulated like essential oils and vitamins that you buy in the store?
Yeah, yeah, or like alcohol, regulate it like alcohol. I mean, keep it away from kids. I think the licenses should be hard to get and easy to lose. I think if you're selling out the back door to avoid taxes, or you're selling to kids, you should lose your license. But we argued for years that we need access to a product, and the way to keep that privilege is to do the job right and have a good, strong, regulated industry that actually allows people to operate. And so I worry about this whole governance change, because sometimes something that looks like you're improving could have unintended consequences. Those two words, unintended consequences, have wrecked some really great ideas in government,
Mhm.
and governments are famous for that. So, yeah,
Agreed.
roundabout answer to your question. Yeah.
Agreed. Thank you so much, Joe. We really appreciate you. Would you like to share with our audience how they can get a hold of you or follow the work that you're doing?
Actually, I'm not really on social media. I think it's terrible. I have a Facebook page with some friends. You can try and friend request me there, but it's mostly like I post about gardening. I'm going to post my garlic harvest that I just had yesterday on today. So I don't really have a public social media presence.
Okay.
If you need anything, I'm easy to find on Google. My email's public. So if you need anything, you can find me pretty easily and reach out.
Okay, what's your email? Share with us that, Joe.
Joe@carreranv.com. So it's Joe@CARRARANV.com.
Thank you so much, Joe. We really appreciate you being a part of the show today. And thank you for your insight and input. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hi, this is Frank Hawkins, and you're listening to the Heal Out Loud Show with Nikki B.